Well, it's blindingly obvious that Labour already, of course, with the most unpopular Prime Minister ever leading them, have totally lost control of our borders, have totally lost control in terms of the economy, where, of course, we're about to see people hammered once again in the latest tax-raising budget. And nothing is off the table now in terms of what the result could look like at the next general election. All bets are off. You can see in terms of the latest volatile feedback from voters that Reform leading, but look underneath Reform, and you've even got the Greens overtaking both the Conservatives and Labour now. Now that would mean 390 Reform MPs, the Lib Dems as the second party, and the Conservatives annihilated below the Greens in terms of the number of MPs. And those numbers are why what Nigel Farage and Reform are saying is so vital, because this is likely to be the next government. And you've seen today Reform set out an agenda to bring back entrepreneurship in our country, rather than seeing the mass exodus of wealth that we're seeing at the moment. But beyond that, I think it's very interesting to consider what Nigel Farage said today about the prospect of an early 2027 general election, on the basis that we're going to see economic ruin so severe under Labour that in the end they won't actually be able to get budget through. Watch this and let me know in the comments below if you agree with this assessment or not.
In fact, even last week, the leader of the Conservative Party was saying, in office, we cut the deficit for 14 years. Well, cutting the deficit is a very different thing to cutting debt when you're still running borrowing certainly at peacetime levels, unlike anything ever seen before. They may try to wash their hands and run away from it, but our national debt increased by over 2.5 times during those 14 years. And now it's accelerating. Now it's accelerating in the most extraordinary way. The OBR predictions for the year going back just before the general election was that we'd borrow 77 billion in the year. That estimate is now 130 billion and rising with each and every month. Our debt has risen faster than any other comparable Western country. In fact, in the last 20 years, our debt-GDP ratio is up by nearly 60%. We are doing worse on debt than any of our competitors, and that includes Eurozone countries who are in other deep, deep trouble. Our debt repayments are over 100 billion a year. They're over the level of our defense budget, and the markets are getting nervy. We've seen this with 10 and 30-year gilt yields. In fact, I think my own view is that in 2 budgets' time, the markets will actually force the Chancellor into what will be a genuine austerity budget, at which point the left in the Labour Party won't buy it, and it's why I still stand by my prediction that there will be a general election caused by economic collapse that will happen in 2027.